Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
The flag
to the flag
of the United States of America,
to
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice
liberty
for all.
and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm guessing that Chris, I have not heard that Kristen will not be here and Jim will be here, so there's no need to see alternates for this meeting. I'll open under public comment. I don't know, I can't tell if anybody's on this from the public or not, but public comment going once. Public comment going twice. Public comment going 3 times, and we will close under public comment. Approval of the minutes from our regular meeting from February 23rd. Let's do that one first. Monica sent them out. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to go through them, read them. I'll take a motion to accept, and then we can have a discussion if there are any changes or edits to be made. So in that case,
Motion to accept Richard Demko.
Eddie and Peck,
second, please. Thank you. Discussion? Does anyone have any changes, corrections, edits to anything in those minutes?
Looks
If
pretty.
not, all those in favor? What, Rich? I'm sorry.
I said it looks pretty good. Yeah, I didn't notice anything.
Okay, all right. In that case, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye, so
Aye.
Monica can hear you,
Aye.
please.
aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? And chair votes aye. Okay, approval of minutes for the budget deliberations. We've got quite a few. I'm not going to take them individually. I will take them as a group. And under discussion, if anyone has any corrections or edits or comments, we can make them to the particular meeting. So I will take a motion to accept the budget deliberations from February 1st, 3rd, 8th, 10th, 22nd, March 3, March 8, 10, 15, and 17.
Eddie and Peck, motion to accept.
Richard Demko, second.
Okay, open under discussion. Are there any edits or corrections to anything that Monica sent out regarding these minutes? Hearing nothing. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Chair votes aye. Thank you. Next item is the audit report from Scott Bassett, a partner with RSM. Scott, are you on? Doug, did he communicate that he couldn't make it?
No, I haven't heard anything from him. I sent him the invite again just a minute ago in case he didn't get it.
Did he accept the original invite?
Well, it was an email. It wasn't an invite.
Well, whatever, but did he accept that? Did he say he was gonna show up?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, things have a tendency to change with life. If Scott can't make this meeting, then obviously we will invite him to the April meeting.
Maybe we can circle back
Doug,
on this one.
Okay, I will.
well, yeah, if he should call in, then wherever we are, we can always go back up to the item on the agenda. The next item is the report from our finance director. So Doug, you're on.
Okay, as far as the town revenues go, we're still doing fairly well. We're right on with last year as far as the revenues go. We're on budget. That's for the tax collections. Tax collector said today that she was at 97.5% collections, and she's sending out notices this week. And as far as the rest of the revenues, we're in good shape. The sewer assessments and the water assessments, those don't go out until April. So that's a couple of numbers we don't see really going anywhere until after April. And the recreation, obviously they've been shut down. They're going to be revving up though this month and start having some programs. As far as the
Okay.
fence side
Doug,
of the town
I'm
goes,
sorry, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Had a question?
Yeah, no, the question I had is, I know with the COVID money that's coming out of Washington, and I know Connecticut's getting a pretty good chunk of it. Do we in the town of Seymour have an idea of what might be coming to us, not counting anything to do with education?
I looked it up and I saw an article in the Hartford Current, and it showed it was allocated 1.6 million to the town, non-education. I believe it's close to
Really?
2.7, 2.8 million going to the school for Seymour. And I was pretty shocked. And we went back and we looked up the requirements for it, and it's for COVID, but then it has an item in there that it says that it could take at least a year for the funds to get to us, and then it also said that it could be used for any COVID-related economic downturns. So I think it's still kind of up in the air as to exactly how we can use this money. But it's certainly good news that we could see quite a lot.
Well, let me ask.
It does say you can't use it to cut taxes.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. Let me ask the question, who I would guess, who is taking the lead on putting together an expenditure plan using, let's say, the 1.6 or $1 million estimate or whatever. So we can, and I understand everything I know from CCM and various sources, that, yeah, the money's not coming in one check on July 1st. We know that. But who is going to be responsible for crafting, let's call it an expenditure plan for this money, and taking into account how much we've paid for COVID and how much we're going to have to anticipate paying for COVID, again, not counting education?
Well, our COVID expenses have really, direct COVID expenses has gone down considerably, practically nothing. So we're kind of in limbo, so to speak, to figure out exactly what we can use the money for. But I would suspect as soon as we do have a better understanding of what we can use it for, it would be myself and the first selectman, the chief of staff, director of operations.
Okay. In that regard, I would also like to be included in that party, just to
Sure.
get an idea of, what we're all talking about here, because that's a ton of cash. And
Yeah, sure is.
we want to be able to lay it out. And if we can't come up with a plan for the whole thing or the estimate of the whole thing, then, it's not like, we're losing anything. We're just not getting as much. I think Scott is on the line. I just saw him. Looks like him on the videos.
It is, Bill.
Scott,
It's
that
me.
you?
Yeah, it's me.
Hey, Scott.
Hi, good morning, or good evening,
All
everyone.
righty.
Good morning. I'm doing fine. How's
Well,
everybody
it's wonderful. We're
doing?
doing fine, and I sometimes mix up mornings and evenings myself. Don't feel bad.
You know how it is,
Uh,
Bill, in March. It gets that way.
Oh, life is just a blur, and there's no real reason with the March 31st deadlines I'm dealing with that it's going to change anytime soon.
No. So
But in that regard, any other questions for Doug? And if we have any, please ask them. If not, we'll go back up to item 7 on the audit report for Scott. Anything else to direct to Doug under this piece of the agenda?
I did want to throw
Okay.
in real quick,
I'll
though.
take silences.
Hey, Bill.
Go ahead.
Just real quick on the
Go ahead.
expense side of things. There's a few transfers that are coming down, especially one that's going to be rather large. For workers' comp, we had to pay $151,000 for a heart and hypertension case. The man is retired and had a catastrophic illness, and so that was the bill. So I just wanted everybody to be aware that that's coming.
The only question I would ask is Board of Finance Chair is, did we have an idea that this was going to happen?
No.
So we just got a bill in the mail and it said we got to write a big check.
Yeah, our third-party administrator came in, said this person had it was all medical bills. It wasn't a settlement or anything like that. Tomorrow night we'll have
that terminate our liability?
Tomorrow night we will have the HR director joining us, and so he could probably speak a little bit better to this than me.
Question for the chair.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, yeah, go ahead, Betty.
Same as before. So this came up instantly. We weren't aware that there had been a situation 3 months ago or a month ago. This came up in the last 5 days. There wasn't any warning or knowledge that something was going on. Just curious.
He's retired. I'm not sure exactly what his age is, but that's what I was told. It was heart and hypertension. I can speculate as to what the medical condition was, but I don't want to do that. So, as I said, Chris Pelosi would be better to answer some of those questions probably tomorrow night.
Yeah.
There'll be.
Yeah, and to Betty Ann's point, to piggyback on it, it's just surprising that, we got a letter in the mail that says, oh, by the way, you got to write a check, without anybody having some sort of idea that some kind of issue is in the works. Thankfully we can do that, but for my money, I don't know if anybody dropped the ball, didn't drop the ball, but we had this same kind of issue. And Doug, I think you remember it, probably about 5 years ago, when it was just about the end of the fiscal year and the town got surprised with a $300,000 plus bill for settling cases. And the one thing I'd ask is, okay, we pay this 151,000. Do we get a release from any future liability, or are we still on the hook for X dollars? Especially since we have our auditor on the line, he probably might want to know that too.
Bill, if I may, this is Rory.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Roar.
This is a claim when an employee has a heart and hypertension claim. This goes back to the time of
Yep.
his employment, so it's an ongoing thing. And I don't know the particulars in this case, but I'm assuming because it's a heart and hypertension claim that this is some type of coronary event, and it resulted in a
Yeah,
bill.
agreed.
And so, you know, the bill that we received is the first notice that a claim was processed through the existing heart and hypertension claim. So there was no notice.
Okay.
This is our notice.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
But
So the
Chris will
potential
have more
exists if this
details.
is the first shot. That's fine. If maybe you can give them the heads up, we don't want to know names. We don't need to know particulars on the disease or whatever. It's just, we'd ask about the timing and now what's the process? Because if this is the first shot across the town's bow, that means there could be others.
Yeah,
And
this
it's,
does not represent
150,000 in the overall.
release of claims. This is just a medical event on an
First installment.
extension claim.
Question.
No, I get that. Yeah, go ahead, Betty.
I certainly agree with the chairman on this, and we're not asking for names. We're not asking for illnesses. However, if there is now a bill, I need to have a better understanding of this with employees if claims are made for situations, because it didn't happen in the last 5 days. And if we have situations like this within HR that come up, it would be nice to know that there's a possibility of something on the horizon.
Every existing heart and hypertension claim has this possibility.
Okay.
If there, this is typically for police and fire employees. The state of Connecticut has said that, if they file a heart and hypertension claim while they're your employee, you own any cardiac events that they may or may not suffer for the rest of their life. And so that's what this is.
And that's good to know. So possibly if we're given a heads up on a yearly basis or when we meet on what that situation is, to look at that for future ideas, because if it was related to something while he was working and we own it for the rest of his life, that's fabulous. But it would be nice to know ahead of time. If I'm not speaking out of turn, Bill, I apologize.
We could provide
No, and
a number of employees who have outstanding heart and hypertension claims. If that's helpful, we obviously we can't give you any kind of indication as to whether pay anything on it in any given year.
No, understood, Roar, and we get it because that's determined by, well, let's call it the arbiter or the workers' comp commissioner, whomever's going to do it. But certainly, our year end is coming up on June 30th. The auditors, I'm sure, are going to ask about outstanding claims and judgments. As chair of the board, we just like to get a sense and a feel. I mean, if we were told that, yeah, there's 9 heart and hypertension cases out there, or there's 2 or whatever, yeah, nobody's going to be able to ballpark a number, I don't think, unless
I mean,
actuaries
I
get
could,
involved
I could-
in all of that fun
Bill,
stuff.
I could jump in.
Yeah.
As part of our audit, as you know, we do get an actuarial estimate of what the heart and hypertension
Yep.
claims are that are outstanding. And that's provided to Doug in the finance office, on a yearly basis. So there is an accrual in your financial statements for what the actuaries have estimated as your potential claims. It isn't by person, but they have an idea of what they take a look at incurred claims, and they do also put in an estimate of what may happen. So that is available. We get it from a third party. Our actuaries take a look at it too. So there is some, whether it be current or not, that's really up to when a court judgment and how things work. But it is something that is accrued for on an estimate at the end of each year. And I think it's, and Doug will know the name of the firm that you guys use, Practical Solutions or something like that is the firm that you use, I believe, to kind of estimate that liability.
Question?
Okay. Go ahead, Betty Ann.
So it's out there, but we don't know anything about it.
I mean, you supply the information to, again, we're just the auditors. And we have to accrue that liability because it's a long-term liability, typically accrued in the financial statement. So there is something out there that says, hey, what's our long-term effect, or what are we on the hook for heart and hypertension? And there is an estimate made for that each year and included in the financial statements. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and again, it's not by person, it's not by event,
Right.
it's the actuaries, much like you're going to hear tonight, I'm sure, about the millions of dollars we owe for post-employment benefits and stuff like that. It's just the actuary applying mortality tables and all of those fun voodoo things that they use to come up with numbers for the town.
And there's
So,
laws
and
that go
none of that.
Yeah, the heart and hypertension is a
Yep.
tough one. There's different laws that have changed since 1983, 1996, just kind of crazy stuff that goes out
Yep.
there. But there is an estimate out there. When they occur, I don't think that it goes into that detail. But anyway, just to kind of give you a little reassurance that it is something that.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott. Any other questions for Doug? Or Doug, anything we missed before we turn it back over to Scott?
No, that's all.
Okay. Scott, you're on.
All right. I
Thank
won't take a whole lot of time. Obviously this year, the audit took a little longer than usual, dealing in a remote environment, dealing with a whole lot of things, a lot of moving parts. But we were able to issue a clean, unmodified opinion on the financial statements. We did issue the statements to the state and to the federal government on a timely basis. And so I don't think there's any surprises. We didn't have a ton of adjusting entries as we went through the process. The town and the board, I would say, went back and forth a little bit in tying out the expenditures from the control account to the detail account. I would say that took the most time this year as we went through that. But overall, the audit went well. We were able to get the information that we needed and issue a clean, unmodified report on the financial statements. The net position did decrease in the current year, and that's on the full accrual basis of accounting. And Bill alluded to the OPEB and that impact that the OPEB would have. And it really has to do with a discount rate and a change in assumptions that drove up the decrease in your net your net position of about $8 million in the current year. And what drove that is you went from a discount rate of 3.5% to 2.21%. And that's really dictated by the GASB of what that discount rate can be. It's based on the municipal bond rate at that date, which was June 30th, 2020. Revenues were about almost $45 million, and expenditures were about $52 million with that on the full accrual basis of accounting. Just to go back a little bit to that OPEB, the increased liability in the OPEB was almost $12 million with the change of assumption in the current year. So that's what these numbers do from an actual basis. What we do as your auditors, we take a look at those and we send them out to our internal auditors to take a look and make sure they're reasonable. But there's really no play in the discount rate because it's really based on the municipal. You have really an unfunded plan. And it's really based on the municipal bond rate at that time. The general fund revenues came in $434,000 less than anticipated. That was offset by, the budget was favorable by $717,000 on the expenditure side within the general fund. Obviously, COVID had an impact on all the operations in the current year, on the last 3 months of the year, April, May, and June, as we navigated our way through the COVID shutdown of certain activities and things of that nature. We did have adjusting entries as we went through the report, as we went through the audit this year, and we do have a comment on that in the current year. The general fund, which is your main operating fund, had a decrease in your fund balance of about $188,000 in the current year. So your general fund balance went from $2.8 million to 2.6 for the year ended June 30th, 2020. Revenues and things were your property taxes came in as expected. Intergovernmental revenues were a little bit more than the year before, but really not a whole lot of surprises as we go to the revenue and expenditure side of the general fund in the current year. Things were pretty steady. COVID did have an impact, and so there's a little bit of play in there. The town did not get a whole lot of COVID money for the year ending June 30th, 2020. I do believe in the year ending June 30th, 2021, you'll see some of that COVID and CARES Act money coming through, both at the Department of Education and possibly within the town side. The State Department of Education was a little slow in getting that money out by the end of the year. So a lot of it's going to take place in July 1st, 2020, going through June 30th, 2021. Capital assets, really not a whole lot of activity in capital assets in the current year. Pretty consistent with 2019. Your total long-term liabilities compared to 2019 went from $118 million to $136 million. So an increase of almost $18 million. You did issue some bonds and some capital leases in the current year. The net OPEB liability, which we talked about, went from $45 million to $57 million in the current year. So that, when you talk about what you are on the hook for, you talk about, you talked a little bit opening your meeting about heart and hypertension, $57 million based on the actuary's calculation is what the town is on the hook for OPEB benefits. And if you look at that schedule, you look at the OPEB benefits of being $57 million, the bonded debt for the town is only $55 million. So if you look at that number, that's a huge number for the town of Seymour. And your pension plan liability is only $18 million. So something, a lot there, big number. And I'm not an actuary, so I don't like to talk about how that's calculated and how it comes from. But when you get your actuaries in, it'd be probably a good discussion to have with them as far as what drives that number and some suggestions for bringing that number down. So that, to me, if you would ask me, okay, what's unusual this year, Scott, for the town of Seymour, would be the net OPEB liability and increase of $12 million, obviously. Big number. We talk about current and subsequent, really subsequent event really would be COVID and how it's impacted the town and its operations as of 30th, 2020 and going into June 30th, 2021. What we've seen is most towns have had a favorable medical health insurance during June 30th, 2020, but we anticipate that any savings in the medical health insurance through June 30th, 2020 will be depleted in June 30th, 2021 as operations and things picked up. Those elective surgeries are going to pick up that were not happening the last 3 months of fiscal 2020. The federal and state money pretty consistent with the prior year. We did do our audit on the federal and state grants with really no findings. So really, if you look at the results, nothing alarming in the current year. Everything came in as anticipated. But there are estimates all throughout these financial statements. We talk about OPEB and pension, heart and hypertensions, workers' comp. All these things are done by actuaries, and they're big numbers in your report. So a lot of times as we go through this, we have our own actuaries that have to really go we probably do it every other year to really take a look at the assumptions being used for reasonableness. And we did that in the current year, and they were considered reasonable. But as you can see, those estimates are big numbers when you look at long-term assets and long-term liabilities of the town. So, I come in once a year and report on those, but I always would say, get an idea what those liabilities are. It's really driven by the actuaries and by what your benefit packages are with the OPEB and things, and making sure everybody's on the same page. So again, Doug and his staff were very helpful going through getting this together for us, and at 100% remote, which was difficult on everybody's part, but we were able to do it. And Bill, that's a short presentation. If you guys have any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Does anyone have any questions for Scott? I mean, I think the experiences that we've had with RSM have been very good. I think they've provided a lot of help to the town, as well as some guidance when we needed it. Doug, I would ask you one question. There's a finding, there were audit adjustments that were identified that didn't go through internal our processes. That was the significant deficiency finding?
Yeah. There are a number of adjustments, Bill, that we had to make. A lot of them are non-recurring entries, which I call like the refundings and things like that we come in and make those entries for. As you know, materiality drives everything. And when there's an entry we have to make that's larger than material, than our threshold, we report it. Were there nit and nats, like I call
No,
them?
understood.
But some big numbers that came in that we have to get through the gap standpoint. And there was a little bit more time this year spent reconciling the Board of Ed and the town together and making sure those adjustments were appropriately made too.
Okay. No, thank you. Doug?
Yes.
Doug? Yeah.
Yes.
I would hope that this finding goes away. So if there are refundings or there are any type of large transactions, that we can get rid of this finding out of the audit for 2021, because it's not very warm and fuzzy to see something like this. I mean, the finance department has to capture all of the transactions. Shouldn't be up to the auditors to do it. In terms of reconciling with the Board of Ed, I know they're going to be having wholesale change in personnel. They're getting a new business manager, they're getting a new superintendent, and I understand that, but I think you as the town finance director needs to take the lead on this, on those two areas, so we eliminate the finding next year, and also make sure that the transition and the reconciliation for the Board of Ed into the town numbers happens.
Okay. Yeah, I talked before Sherry left. That was one of the things I was working with her on, is balancing out between the control account on their side and the control account on our side. And so we got that balanced. I tried calling the new guy today, wasn't able to get a hold of him, but hopefully tomorrow I will. And same thing, to start going through and doing that reconciliation between our control account and their control account. And same thing with
Have they
going
filled the
through.
position?
They have an interim person there,
Okay, all right.
not permanent.
And the other thing, to Scott's point, that I'd like to direct you, if you can get with the town actuary and all on this OPEB, because we've got a small town, we've got a $12 million jump. And I get it, it's got to do with the workforce, which is an older workforce, and what the contracts are on, contracts terms are like. And it all affects it when the actuaries put all their numbers into their magical formulas. But I'd like you to do some digging with them and see what, if anything, can be done so we avoid having a huge jump again. And I get the municipal rates and all of that stuff, but I'm kind of looking for hopefully some sort of, let's call it a remediation. So I know the number is going to go up next year. That's, you take that to the bank, but to maybe limit the increase as much as we can. If we can
Sure,
do
I can talk to him, talk to Dave. And, yeah, I believe the biggest part of that increase was that discount rate went from a full percentage point down, and that really shot it up.
Yeah, there was change in the
Oh, no,
mortality tables. I mean, I think you got a double whammy this year with the change in mortality tables and the lowering of the discount rate. Just has that number was just going north. There was no way to avoid that. When those two things change, typically those numbers go north.
Understood. And I've seen it in my end of the business too. And it just, can anything be done? A lot of the stuff's out of our control. We get it. But at least to get some sort of an idea of anything that we might be able to do. And that may be slim and none, but at least we ask.
Right. Yeah. I always think it's
Okay,
important.
any other? Are there any other questions for Scott on it? Go ahead, Betty.
And not necessarily for Scott, Bill, everybody. Is there a time frame on there and something that can be submitted to correct this for you, Scott, or is it one and done?
For the OPEB liability
Yeah.
or, well, no, really, all you sitting there on the Board of Finance inherit this. I mean, these are union negotiated benefits that the employees and former employees get. So what we see happening is with that number being so large and understanding what each employee is getting, as you go back to the table with your unions, that's where, which can, it's a negotiation process with union bargaining. Right now, it's something that you've inherited. It's something we can't stop unless you put some changes into your union contracts. So that's why I think it's important.
25
when you see
Olds was a manager at the supermarket.
So when you see these numbers, we present them as your auditors. I really think it's important to get the actuaries in there so what's driving these numbers, and so that you can have an idea when you go back to the table, how can we stop that? Because I'll be quite honest with you, when I look at your OPEB number of 57 million, your debt of 55 million, that's a big number for the town of Seymour. So, getting more information from the actuaries and what's happening with that would be my advice. And then going forward, when you negotiate, you understand what these things can trigger in future liability.
Thank you, that helps. And then the other stuff that we can fix for you, which was missing.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing, and I think, Doug, you have right now, I guess it's March, and I would start now trying to reconcile the Board of Ed and the town control accounts, because that's a big undertaking. And I don't know the conditions, where we are right now through 2021, but once Doug gets hold of the acting business manager to get right on that and to make sure that they're tied out before the end of the year. If they can't you don't want to put it off to June 30th because it's just too much of an undertaking. And in the summer, the board will get so busy with some of the reports they have to do. So I would just really, really recommend that maybe you get a report back next month of just where that process is between the town and the board in the reconciliation process.
So that's on the record. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Doug, did you say you had reconciled with Sherry? between the town and the Board of Ed? Or
Yes,
maybe through when?
the day she left.
So her ledger and your ledger as of, I don't know, March 15th or 19th or whatever that day was, your expenditures and their expenditures match?
Yes, that's what she was telling me. I need to go over there
No, no,
and get
wait a
the
minute.
paperwork. I need to go over there and get the paperwork and make sure that's actually correct. And that's why I'm on the phone with the new guy, to make sure that not only that was reconciled, but that any activity between the time that she left and now is also reconciled. And if you need
No,
the
understood.
report,
We can't take verbal.
yeah, I'll send out a report when I get it from him.
Yeah, no, that's good, because just having somebody tell you, yeah, I reconciled, without you physically seeing the numbers doesn't give you a lot of warm and fuzzy feelings. You've got to touch both sides of the numbers. Because otherwise,
Yeah,
to Scott's point, and I can attest to it from stuff I've done, it can be a nightmare if it's not done. If it has to be left till the last minute, it is a nightmare. And I've been involved in too many of those, as I'm sure Scott has, when it's, oh yeah, we got to see why they don't equal.
Yep, that's why, like Scott said, I wanted to get a jump on it, certainly now rather than later.
Please do. If there's any way I can help you, or there are any questions, just pick up the phone. You know where you can find me.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Scott at all on anything? Quiet audience. Once again, Scott, I think you guys do okay. We're very happy from our perspective of the product that gets put out. And we're looking forward to 2021, and hopefully it won't all be remote.
Let's hope not, Bill. And thank you guys. Have a nice evening. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
You too. Stay safe. Okay. Back
Hamilton.
to number 9 on the agenda, comments from the first select woman. And I see Anne Marie is on. So take it away, Chief.
Well, thank you. I don't really have any comments tonight. I appreciate everything that the Board of Finance is doing to keep us low, and as our mill rate very low, our taxes very low, and doing the best that we can for our residents. I will work with Doug on Sherry's as well to make sure that, the Board of Ed has come forth with everything that needs to be come forth with to the Board of Finance to make sure everything is reconciled and is accurate.
Thank you. Because I can tell you from the too many years I've been involved in this, and I see it up until, probably last year's stuff, because we do the same stuff Scott does in his firm. And if it's not done through the year and it's left to the end, it is a god awful nightmare. Trust me.
No, I know. And I
So
know
that's
Doug
good to
has,
hear.
I know Doug has reached out to Sherry several times before she left. I know Doug has reached out today to the interim person as
Okay.
well. So we will get through this together.
Okay, fair enough. Any questions for the first select woman? The only caveat being, please be nice. Okay, moving on to 10. I did not see any transfer requests in our packet. Excuse me. Number 11, the $300,000 always popular reimbursement we've been chasing. The forms and all are up at the state, I believe, finally.
Yes.
We have,
And there should be a copy of the whole package sent up to the state in your package.
I
Hopefully everybody
yeah,
got that.
I saw what you sent to. Yeah, I mean, I did, and I'm sure everybody else did, but it's a lot of paperwork, but I'm glad it's there, and fingers crossed we get 3 and maybe a little more. That
Question,
would be
Bill?
nice.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Question for the chair?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
We've heard it before,
Sure.
so I want to know if there's any proof that it's been received. Did we send it certified?
Yeah, how did we
Just
send it
saying.
up, Doug? Was it
Just saying.
PDF or was it email with a signature or?
I think
Yeah,
it was
Good
both.
question.
It
I'd
was-
ask it. Wish I had
Yeah,
asked.
well, when I talk to the guy tomorrow, I'll follow up on that, but I believe I know it was at least PDF to her. And whether or not the board sent it by certified mail, that I don't know, but I can find out.
Anne Marie, you're either
Tim
sleeping on
Connerson.
your hand or you want to.
No. Yeah, no. I wanted to say something. Tim Connor submitted it. It was all submitted electronically. It was all submitted electronically.
Okay. That's fine.
The
Okay.
school submitted it.
So everybody keep your fingers crossed, except while trying to eat, and that we get at least 3 and hopefully more. I hope.
Well, and just
Okay,
so I'm clear to the Board
private-
of Finance, just so that I'm
Yep.
clear, this still has to be audited. It is my understanding that this still has to be audited.
No,
by the state.
absolutely. Yep.
It could take up to 6 months, and we're looking at 300, but it could possibly be less than 300.
Oh, no, absolutely. The state, we're at the state's mercy.
Yeah.
They can come down and ask for any scrap of paper they want concerning anything on those forms that was sent in. They are judge, jury, and executioner on this. Hopefully, everything that was put together in terms of eligible costs, ineligible costs, all of those numbers, from what I understand, they are documented in a few boxes of paper. And let's hope that everything goes smooth enough so we don't have to worry about it. But to Anne Marie's point, and she's 100% right, could be, could be 300, could be $72 or some number in between. Okay, next thing on our list, private duty owed to the town as of the end of February, 63,000. A lot better than 200. That was in our packet. I don't know if there's any questions on any of that for Doug. But the system at this point seems to be chugging right along, which is a good thing. And we stay on top of the collections, and we can hopefully keep up the collections and what we got. Okay, we have to set the date for the town budget hearing. And in my little notes that I have, I believe we have, if you bear with me for a second. There we go. We have to set the town hearing date sometime. It has to be sometime before April 10th. And the budget has to be published, meaning available for distribution at the library and online and all of that stuff by April 7th. So that said, and I think we've talked about this anyway, but just now that we want to, let's say, make this thing official, I would propose that we make the, let's say we make the budget hearing. Let's call it Tuesday, April 6th. I'm assuming it'll be online and, much like we're doing this meeting, because I don't think any restrictions on meetings are going to be, opened up yet. Does Anne Marie, go ahead.
April 1st, I believe we can do in-person meetings, providing that it is boards of 5 or less. Board of Selectmen is the only one that's where we're going to be doing Zoom meetings still, and we can spread everybody out.
Okay. Well, why don't we leave it at Tuesday, April 6th? Absent anything to the contrary, maybe we can convene in the Norma Drummer Room downstairs in Town Hall. But does anyone have a problem with doing it Tuesday, April 6th at 7 o'clock? It's historically, as everybody on this board knows, if it's attended by a half a dozen people, that's a lot of people, other than us who have to be there.
I guess as long as the room's
But I'll,
available.
well, I would hope, that Doug, can you book us in for the drummer room on April 6th?
Sure.
I still think April Fool's
Okay.
Day would be really fun.
I have a sense of humor too, but I don't know if I want to go that far, to be honest with you. And I have a commitment through 6:30 at night. So,
All right, that's good.
can't
That
do it
works.
anyway, but it's a great idea. All right, so our town hearing will be April 6th, which means the budget has to be available. Let's call it sometime, the prior week, maybe Thursday, April 1st, something like that. In regards to timing, we have our meeting tomorrow night. My guess is we will probably, and what I'd like to do is probably wrap this process by next Monday. Again, depends on what we talk about tomorrow night and if anything else is needed or we have to go looking at stuff again. But that's kind of what I'm shooting for. And if not, Monday, the 29th, certainly Wednesday, the 31st, the latest, which means if we have issues, we may be meeting on the Tuesday in between those 2 days or whatever, but this process needs to wrap no later than March 31. Okay. All that being said, we're on to item 14. Anybody have any new business at all for any
Yeah, oh,
reason?
Do we got to vote on the date for the town budget?
Oh, I'm not sure we do, but you know what?
I didn't think we needed to.
Someone propose a motion, propose a motion to make the hearing Tuesday, April 6th, please.
Yeah, motion to make the meeting town budget hearing for April 6th. Richard Demko.
Second, Benny Ann Peck.
Okay. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Bill, could you quickly repeat those dates
Opposed.
again? Oh,
Yeah, April 6th, which will be a Tuesday, will be the town budget hearing. What I want to do in terms of the budget, we get tomorrow night. And I'm guessing the process will carry to Monday, the 29th. If we do not finalize for whatever strange reason by the 29th, this process needs to end by Wednesday, the 31st. So if that means maybe we get together on Tuesday, the 30th, or something, okay, if we need to, but that's kind of like March 31 being the final, let's call it. Because I mean,
Bill,
I
this is
think we've
Doug.
talked to enough people gathered. Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
I'm off on the 31st, so if possible, can we have it done Monday night and get the paperwork? I can get the paperwork done on Tuesday.
We'll do our best. I mean, I can't,
meeting
I
on
can't
March
speak for,
29th?
yes. I can't speak for the other 6 people on the board. They may have issues or questions, but I wouldn't mind that happening.
I just got to get all the dates straight. That's all.
Okay. All right. So all those in favor of April 6th on the hearing date?
Aye.
Again, please,
Aye.
just to make sure we got it covered.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Chair votes aye. Thank you. New business? Anything from anybody?
No.
Correspondence? No one's written me any letters. And I see Rich has unmuted himself, so he's ready. Last
Don't-
item on
not
the
doing it.
agenda.
I'm not doing it. That's it.
Not doing it.
I'm not doing it. I'm
Come on,
boycotting.
Christie. Jump in there, Christie. Come on.
I'll move to
Take a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Chris, way to
Christie.
go.
Come on,
Second,
Zane.
please.
Fine, I'll second it.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Hey, Zanny, don't
All
talk
those,
so
all
much
those in
next time.
favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. That's as much as I'm gonna talk. Everybody in?
Opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye. See everybody tomorrow night, same time, same channel. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Have
Bye.
fun.